Hello and welcome. If you're watching this video, then you're in real estate. And like everyone in real estate, you're hoping that they choose you. But really, what's the difference between you and anyone else? I'm sure you're used to knocking doors, picking up the phone and calling unbelievable numbers of people, only to get the door slammed in your face or getting them to hang up saying, I already have an agent, or I'm not ready to sell my place right now, or just go away, would you? And we all know what that's like. We're trying to differentiate ourselves and separate ourselves, and then really, there isn't any difference between us, right? Well, I want to tell you why that's not true, and exactly what you can do to turn your real estate agent career absolutely around. My name's Matthew Pollard, and I am the Rapid Growth Guy. And I want to share with you a story of Colliers International in Austin, Texas. I want to share with you about the owner, Volney, and Alex and Thomas, two of the agents that came to me for help. They had a massive problem. Volney had been very successful in his real estate career for a long time, and they'd opened up a franchise, Colliers International franchise. And for the first time to grow, they'd have to hire new staff. And so they hired 3 brand new people. And these people were really excited about learning the art of real estate and real estate sales. The problem they found is because they were young, no one took them seriously. And everyone said, look, can you just get me to speak to your boss? Or, listen mate, I'm just not interested. And every day, rejection after rejection after rejection. It ate at them. One of them, who called himself the Bulldog, said he needed to get hyped up on coffee, just get himself in that zone to hammer the phone. Otherwise, he just couldn't do it. I'm sure you do things like that yourself. How do you get yourself out of bed every morning knowing that you're kind of interrupting people in their days to try and sell them real estate? So they came to me and said, how can I do things differently? And it was actually just after Thanksgiving in America. And I said that I would teach them how to do it by using story. And I walked into the training room, and Alex was so not open to hearing things. He thought he knew it all. He grew up with 2 salespeople parents that said, if you just hammer the phone, you'll be successful. But Volney sent me in there and asked me to teach these guys storytelling sales. So they asked me how my Thanksgiving was. And I responded with, well, my Thanksgiving was great, but sure. See, I had 2 TV interviews the next morning. So I had to get to bed by 7 because I had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning so I could go to the first interview. And then I had to go to the next one. I had KXAN in the morning, and then I had Fox 7. And when I walked into Fox 7, I actually saw some people that recognized me. They said, oh, I saw you on KXAN earlier that morning. And I thought you were fantastic. And it was really great for you to share that information. And there was a company there, and the company was called Digital Marketer, and they'd spent an absolute fortune sponsoring a group of people so they could get on television, so they could get publicity. And he responded to me with, how did you get onto all these television shows? And I said, well, one of the things that I focus on is having a very crystal clear message, but also making sure that I publicize it in the right way. I mean, if you know how to do it properly, it's pretty easy to get on television. And they said, you're getting more media than us, and we're a multi-million-dollar training company. They are actually one of the biggest companies teaching people how to make money on the internet. So they asked if I'd come in and do a whiteboard session with them to teach them how to get more media. So realistically, my Thanksgiving was kind of sad because I had to go to bed early. But really, it kind of ended up really, really great because those opportunities were fantastic. Alex was blown away. He was like, this guy's the real deal. And all of a sudden, they all sat down and listened. And I said, so I want to tell you what I did. What I just did is I told you a story about how my Thanksgiving was that had heaps of credibility points seeded into it to make you understand how credible I was and why you needed to listen to me. Because otherwise, I would have said, here's my bio, here's all the great things that I've done, and you would have gone, yeah, sure. See, the logical mind processes information and says, I'm a critic of that, I don't believe that, whatever, hang up the phone, just completely switch off and hope this training ends, right? But the emotional mind loves stories. And for an emotional mind to love stories, it has to believe everything that it hears. I mean, think about when you heard Goldilocks and the 3 Bears the first time. You had to believe that bears had beds and ate porridge. And if you didn't, the story didn't make any sense. So the emotional mind completely short circuits the logical mind and believes all the credibility points or all the details of the story, because it has to for it to make sense. And then all of a sudden, when you finish talking about that, you can then move on and people will take you seriously, because they now have completely taken in all the things that you've said without the critic or the logical mind going, nope, 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 nope. And that's the power of a story. So I said to them, what I would love to do is teach you how to tell stories and how you can use them on the phone when you're trying to get deals. Alex, who was the hardest person to convince, said, they don't listen to me for more than 5-10 seconds. If I went into a story that went for a minute, they'd just hang up on me mid-story. Thomas was all ears. He was a very introverted salesperson, and he needed to go. The reason why Volney wanted this training wasn't actually for Alex, it was for Thomas, to try and teach him the introverted way of selling. One of those things that I've taught for years. I was an introverted salesperson myself. I mean, the first time I sold, it took me 93 doors and getting rejected, getting told to get a real job, wondering what I was doing with my life. But I taught myself through process, and I learned each step along the way. And within 6 weeks, I was the #1 sales performer for the largest sales and marketing company in the Southern Hemisphere. I learned the system that Volney hoped that I could tell to Thomas. But Alex was in the room and he just did not believe that he could use stories and that they would work. So I said, what I would like you to do is I would like you to set up a meeting and just give it a go. I want you to set up a meeting with your 3 bosses, the people that have all the stories, and I want you to call the meeting story time. It was hilarious. I mean, think about it. These are proud commercial real estate agents, and inside their calendar, every single Monday, they've got something blocked out called story time. And that time was for their boss to share valuable stories about experiences that they had with clients that perhaps had an objection at the start, that at the end, they were so happy that they worked with them. And Alex and Thomas would learn these stories and take them on and really embrace them like they were their own stories. And instead of saying, I have a story, they would say, at our organization, we had a customer just like that to an objection, and then go into a story about explaining the objection, how they discovered that that objection wasn't actually valid, and then why they were so happy that they worked with them, and the money that they saved, and all the valuable points around it. Within just a very short period of time, these stories took a life of their own. Alex no longer needed to get hyped up on coffee. He used to say, I used to have to get hyped on coffee and just hammer the phone. Now he said, now I just waltz in, make a few phone calls, tell a few stories, and now I'm even locking down the whales that I could never have locked down before. Volney shared with me that within 2 months, the number of appointments went up by 3 times. And not only that, they were bigger and better appointments with people, as Alex says, so much bigger than he would ever have been able to get before. And they shared that was potentially worth $1 million in additional revenue just from sharing stories. Alex was absolutely gobsmacked. Instead of trying to explain logically why someone should listen for longer and getting hung up on in 5-10 seconds, they would sit and listen to a minute-long story about this specific customer just like them and how their objection of it's not the right time right now was wrong, and how they were so lucky they believed them because they saved so much money. And then they'd book an appointment. There was so much power in that story. But on top of that, they also learned one additional step that made so much more of a difference. Most real estate agents, they come and do the deal once. Especially in commercial real estate, they get a big commission check and they run out the door onto the next one. One of the things that this brand had earned their living out of is keeping long-term relationships and always being there for their clients and giving them education around making the right choices. And I said, you're doing so much more than just commercial real estate. What are you doing? And they said, well, it's just a couple of additional things. I mean, it's the reason why our customers love us so much, so we don't take it, lightly, but we don't know how to frame that. So we still call ourselves commercial real estate agents. And I said, but you're not commercial real estate agents. You're long-term real estate strategists. You help them be ready for the next move and the 10 moves in front of that. You are their partners. They no longer have to rely on doing their own due diligence because they can trust you to do it for them. And Volney's response was, I've got a wonderful story that I could tell about that. And they use it every day now. So I want to share with you exactly in much more detail what I did for Colliers International, for Alex, for Thomas, for Volney, and share how you can do it for yourself in the upcoming webinar. Before I get to that though, transparency is everything to me. So there's no one better to share the story of exactly how it benefited them than Thomas, Volney, and Alex themselves. So click on the link below and watch the real story of the real people and how it affected their real lives. And then I look forward to seeing you in the webinar. Cheers.